In this particular session of this experience-centric organization, we will be talking about the employee experience model, BMG's EX model, what is the X business case, what is the difference between the engagement and the X, then the important reasons for the building, the top our 4 changes and key to success, create the X-centric organizations, changes for the organization in HR, insights for the X implementation process, sample of the X pioneer business cases, and what a transformational looks like to build an X-centric organizations, and as usual the case study, the research papers and the references are there. So, employee experience is making disruptive forces in the technology, demographics and science have changed the nature of work and they shifted the power to consumers and employees. Organizations that successfully transform around the user experience for both the customers and the employees are there. So, we will see about the market growth, agility and innovation. Now, most definitions involve the scaling the design and the organization of these the employee experiences there, and these are on to the employees to ensure the best possible experience. Some add to this that their purpose is to enable best work possible. They also mentioned holistic journey and the providing the experience that would increase the innovation, development, performance and improve the customer experience. The employee experience definitions are that is creating a culture that attracts the talent and retains highly engaged employees, which in return offer an extraordinary customer experience to our high-end, highly demanding customers. A person feeling and the responses based on their interaction with our organization during the entire journey. How the associate leaves the things in and outside the companies are there. How the associates leaves these in all we do. We start with the people, each moment that matters in an individual's relation with the group, from the recruitment all the way to the exit dialogue is designed around these our people, employees, managers and HR professionals with the simplicity and user friendly as their guide stars are there. The business leaders should be asking themselves 3 questions. What is the correlation between business results and the employee experience? How is the employee experience different from engagement, which is steadily declining? What does it take to view the experience organizations into the fabric of an organization? And research found the following answers to the 3 questions mentioned above. There is a clear business case and the correlation between the experience and the business results. Engagement and experience come from 2 different worlds. They measure quite different things, come from the different sources and have widely different applications. Building an experience-centric organization requires a complete transformation in the way of thinking and operating. Most companies are in the early stage of learning what experience is and a few understand what is required for the implementation is there. Now, whenever we are talking about this employee experience, then in this case we have talked about the certain excellence, emphasis and essentials parameters are there across the purpose, work, total rewards and people are there. When we talk about the purpose, so purpose which is essential is that is about the I get what we do and how I fit in is there. This is the basic essential is there. But when we are talking about the inclusion is there, then we support diversity, inclusion and the equal opportunity of the purpose will be there. Whenever we are talking about the excellence, then it is the inspiration. I am totally inspired by our vision. We are in a responsible company. So, when we are shifting from this understanding, that is I get what we do and what I fit in is from here, and then the inclusion and then the inspiration is there. So, this is becoming that is excellence at the workplace. So, here the employees are highly inspired, while when we are talking about the work, so work is in the organization is we are efficient, flexible and continually improving. So, basically this much the minimum which is required at the workplace regarding the organization is there. Sometimes the people they emphasize on the I have a say in what we do, and therefore they raise the voice. And what they make them the excellent at the workplace is we are agile, flexible, totally focused on our customers with market leading products and the services are there. So, the change of concept, which is talking from these organization voice and the drive is there. So, we which will go into the total rewards about the what are the rewards. So, normally most of the employees they are looking for the job security. So, the my pay and benefits are fair and the offer stability, and that is the person is looking for. So, however, the some people see as a career path and therefore, they say it is a capability. I am developing skills to progress my career, and the some people they look towards the growth in my career and achieving my potential is there. That a holistic approach is there. So, how the employees they take the rewards at the workplace is there. So, some people they work for only salary. And it is I am getting the salary, so I have to contribute this much is there. Some people they say no, I have to develop my capabilities and therefore they making the improvement in their skills and their efficiency, effectiveness and the excellence comes by that career and achieving the potential is there. Every employee when he joins an organization, he joins the organization and express his performance. But when we are talking about the excellence and growth or the graph, then in that case it is becoming the potential, exploring the potential, what one can do. Then the people are that is the at least minimum they should support. So, my supervisor supports us and builds the team is there. While in the case of the people the collaboration we help each other and the work across the boundaries are there. And ultimately when it is excellence or trust is there, I am confident in leadership and they treat us with the dignity and the respect is there. So, it is the different involvement I will say. So, whenever we are talking about this the people support is there. So, here that is the minimum essential is there. When this support it goes to the next level, that is about the working togetherness and that is about this collaboration is there, and then it leads to the trust that is the you believe in your leader, they treat us with the dignity and the respect is there and that is the excellence is there. Here when we talking about this model, then in the case of the technology, so finding the right talent, and these are the long term strategies where you can find out the right talent and then we have to also see the personality job fit, that is a personalized candidate experience is there about that particular job. Now, the role of the technology, it comes the human assessment, internal mobility and the timely hiring, the decisions are there, then in that case you will find that is you are justifying that particular job. When we are talking about the meaningful work, so that is the empowerment is there and the work empowerment, the job empowerment which is making the fit to the strengths are there. So, assignments are given. The tasks are given to the employee which are making him to use his strengths are there, and particularly here the HR aspect will be, that is team mindsets and the collaboration is there. Naturally when the person he is having the mindset to work together, understand the other's point of view, there might be the conflicting opinions also, how to handle and manage the conflict at the workplace, and then the developing a work life balance. So, when you are able to develop that work life balance, then that will lead you to the meaningful work. Now, whenever employee experience is going with the growth, because when we are talking about the growth mindset is everybody, especially the millennial we are talking about, and not only millennial, every employee who is working in the organization, I personally feel that is he looks for the growth in the organization, and it is not for only the monetary rewards, but that is for the recognition. So, this coaching and the here you will find that is the how feedback is there. Now, these competencies which are developing the mobility and the personalized learning is there. So, please take care, that is this in the employee experience it becomes very important, that is the person with the experience and he learns. And that is why we are giving so much emphasis on the experience, because this experience is giving him the learning opportunities. A person without learning can have the experience, right, but then in that case there will not be the growth, because he has not learned. He has spent the time, but he has not learned, and therefore there cannot be the growth. So, to have the growth, this is very necessary, that is he develops those competencies with the period of time. He learns, he understands the culture of the organization, he understands the practices in the organization, he understands the job practices, he understands, that is how I can do my job best, and as a result of which, but it is possible only when the person is having the growth mindset, because there might be the number of employees, those who are not having the growth mindset, but they are continuing with the organization till their retirement is there. So, here we have to understand, unless and until, value to the experience, and that value to the experience will come only when the person he is having that the personalized learning and the growth mindset. The role of the leader is, that is about the inclusive leadership is there. So, here it is very necessary, that is you have to understand the person, the subordinates, the people those who are working with you, and then you should have a purpose, that is organization goal you are integrating. So, the leader's goal cannot be the different from the organizational goal, right. So, therefore, for example, like the ROI, return on investment is there. So, for the return on investment it is necessary, that is a purpose, that is a goal of the organization. So, your employees mission and purpose will be contributing towards the ROI will be there. For this purpose, there will be the experimental development will be there, and with this experimental development the employee will develop an emotional intelligence, because it is a data driven, which is giving him certain data into information, into knowledge, into wisdom, into truth. So, this emotional intelligence is making the high potential redefined, the shared leadership will be developed. So, this will be the inclusive leadership, where the person will take care of the emotions of the others. It will be based on the certain data statistics, it will be having the experimental developments. When we are talking about the culture, and then it is a design thinking, assimilation, collaboration, and the relationships are there. So, what type of the culture is there in the organization? The employee immediately after his joining understands that what it will work here and what will not, and therefore, in that case it is his design thinking starts, and he tries to get fit into that organization practices, and here he develops the relationships. Now, with the period of time there will be the choices, and the choices will be, that is the how he is able to create yes and no, that decision making will be there in his choices, and if he adopts the choices which are the aligned with the culture of the organization, then definitely there will be the growth. But if every time whenever he is having the choices and then he choose the choices which are not aligned with the organization principles, practices, or these relationships of the organization, then definitely there will not be the growth. The productivity is there, that is the about the work tools, the safety and the security is there, and the flexibility is there, and therefore, in that case it is becoming the very highly flexible. Now, the employee services and the informations are very important, which are creating the work tools. I would like to address now the BMG's the experience model, and the BMG's experience model, it talks about the organization culture, and in the organization culture there are the certain dimensions that is related to the employees value propositions, and here whatever the employer brand is there, accordingly the employees value proposition will be created, and this onboarding will be there when he joins the organization, creating the best possible the work experience. How does he create that work experience? He creates the work experience with the understanding the leadership is there, what type of the leadership and what type of this reward benefits culture is there. Here it becomes this the learning and the development practices also. So, whatever the experience the person is having, if he is having that continuous learning, and innovation and change in the organizations, which will creating the employee voice, and this employee voice will be given him the whatever he wants to do. Now, these here these inclusion and the well-being, that is the happiness in the organization, and that will support. So, this will becoming the customer these satisfaction will be more important. Now, these experience model that is the delivered through the great technology, working in the partnership, understanding your world and tailor to you. So, here when we tailor our programs, that is becoming the very understand no two organizations are the same. So, from our experience we learn, that is from the situation to situation we have to make the changes into the organization. We will deliver a program that meets our strategic priorities. So, as soon as the employee understand I am into a different organization, here the culture, practice, leadership, trends all are different, then the customer practices are different, then in that case he will develop that particular tailoring program will be there. So, we partner with our clients to deliver the great services, because we understand that is a strong partnership that deliver the great outcomes. So, this is the way the principle of the BMG and why our clients keep the coming back. Here we have to also understand that people are the most important asset of any organization, and we help our clients to run programs that provide the insight they need to better serve their customers. So, that is the understanding your world is there, and this will creating a particular the great technology and working relationships are there. Now, I would like to talk about the experience business case. So, recently by this Jacob Morgan found the following companies of the experience versus the non-experience companies. So, experience companies are the here the 4.5 experience more frequently listed on the most innovative companies, list by the first companies, the Boston Consulting and the Forbes, and then non-experience companies. So, 6 experience more frequently listed on the Glassdoor's best places to work, the Fortune's 100 best companies for the millennials, and these uncading these LinkedIn's most in demand employees are there. So, 3x here when we are talking about experience more frequently listed on the brand Z, and the Forbes the top brand value companies are there. So, from the 40 experience more frequently on the list of these those exponential organizations, companies, and whose impact is disproportionately large. So, 10x larger versus the other organizations are there. So, X business cases the 4.4 experience average profiles versus the non-experience companies. So, 2.9x average revenue per employee versus non-experienced companies are there, and 4.3 experience profitability versus the non-experienced companies are there. This shift to the experience is rooted in a silent revolution taking place to the organization across the world as a company's transition from the treating humans as assets or the capital engagement to treating them as a human being employee experience, from forcing them to submit to and work within the certain processes and norms, managing assets to understanding them and how they work best, and on designing solutions around their needs. That is about the individualization. So, Tom Friedman in a recent article that is succinctly describe how technology is making a huge impact at workplace is being disconnected from the jobs, and work are being disconnected from the companies, which are increasingly becoming the platforms, moving from the owning employees to the having access to capabilities. And this major shift from the traditional idea of we own the talent as reflected in this concept of the human capital and the talent management to we create an attractive platforms for you to learn and do your best work. Engagement, when we have already discussed the employee engagement earlier, but engagement and experience come from the two different universes. Engagement sprang out of the era of the top down command and control management, when management wanted to know if any employees were content with the current decisions and the practices are there. So, engagement surveys essentially ask here is what we have decided to do, how happy are you with these decisions are there. So, experience and engagement are built differently. Experience is built on the design thinking, where the organization watch and observe and continually ask employees open ended qualitative questions, that is what matters most to you, rather than guessing does and another more or the does why. When it is might actually be the none of the above, ex pioneers build and test prototypes of the employees journeys, and similar to the customers, and also the experience puts the next promoter scores in the mixes there. So, designing thinking places the issues of this employee at the center of the problem. So, solving processes and analysis issues and the solutions from the point of view, not the organization. So, experienced pioneers then build and test the prototypes of the employees' journeys to remove the brain points and elevate the experience. To measure their success, experienced pioneers use the business-centric metrics to measure their success, such as the net promoter scores, the EBIT, profitability, growth, and others. And they avoid the creating the metrics that are not tied to business outcomes. Experience has a different goal, and Jacob Morgan relates how experience is really about the building that connections and relationship with your employees, and in a sense giving them a type of the ownership to shape the organizations they are working. Experience gets the input on what matters to employees from a variety of sources outside of surveys, including the face-to-face interviews, focus groups, hackathons, then the instant feedback upon, and the analytics. Together, these paint a picture of what employees feel most strongly about what the emotion being a powerful window into the behavior. So, when we talk about these engagement, and the context is here is what we do, how happy we are. While in the case of the employee experience, how can you do your best work and connect with your purpose. The foundation is the 1920s industrial design, what works best anywhere, while the design thinking analytics, what works best here. So, therefore, in that case the format will be changed according to the quantitative multiple choice 80-100 questions, and the qualitative a few open ended questions will be there in employee experience. The frequency is once every 1 to 2 years report to the senior leadership team, continuous feedback report to local team and team leader, that becomes the employee experience. The results are overall results falling tied to growth in the performance is there. So, important reasons for these building the experience are 4 qualities of employee experience that people crave: empathetic, enriching, embracing, and efficient are there. So, top 3 most important reasons for the building the experience is the business growth, engagement, creating competitive advantage, productivity, profitability, successful business, transformation, building a customer centric HR is there. So, here we will find out these top 4 challenges is transforming the culture. So, given the radical shift to an outside in bottom up culture required for the successful experience, companies recognize the need for and equally radical transformation. So, leadership mindset is the experienced pioneers emphasize that the CEO and leaders at all level must be on board for the experience to succeed. This complex organization simplification is one of these keys to making the experience work, and the lack of internal experience in building the employee experience. Most companies have never built the experience. This is not a surprise. Experienced pioneers report using the marketing, design, and facilities experts are there. Top 4 keys to the success are the leadership support, the cultural transformation, then they become a disruptor and involve the marketing, IT, and analysis. So, the top leaders and CEO support is required. So, in that case the employees will be able to do perform, and for this person it is a way to become disruptive and gain competitive advantage. It is a counterpiece of the this cultural transformation, and the experience requires a complete transformation in the way of thinking and working, because the person when gets the experience and he changes himself. It involves many functions outside the HR. So, experience is never an HR only effort. Experienced pioneers typically combine HR with the marketing, IT, and the facilities. It starts with the people. All the customers and the employees design is concerned with the people as human beings and not as assets or capital. It begins with the asking what insights can we create about the situations where do our best work, how we learn, how we innovate and solve the problems, how our work balances with our life outside the work, etc. So, complete transformation is all experienced pioneers speak of a radical transformation where there is a complexity, new mindset and a way of doing things. So, shifting to these outside in thinking in organizations designed around the employee, that is mirroring what is being done of the customers are there. So, new KPIs, most of the experienced leaders were interviewed with still with the direction of the engagement scores, but most of the developed the new measures directly linked to the experience and most prefer using the existing business performance indication such as the revenue, EBIT and the market share. So, ex-pioneers explore the experience people have both inside and outside the company. Now, the both these hired as those that are not a full time employee and the agile talent, that is the contract or the part time as well as the consultant or alumni are as the situation is. So, pay attention to the journeys and not to just touch points. So, experience like these twins, the customers take a more holistic view of all the interaction or the journey as the employer or customer has with the company or the brand, and this journey include but not are included in the moments that matter. So, research shows that the customers may score the overall journey somewhat lower than the individual touch points. Unique experience definition will be the pioneer to spoke with the head of their own unique definitions for employees experience, and the G is head of the experience. Paul Davies defines it as enabling and people to do to the next best work of their lives through moments that matters, although the Mark Levy defines experience as the understanding the end to end employee journey is there. Now, here when we talk about the creating the experience centric organizations, then it is the broad awareness, bring their work home and their home to work, and these employees having babies are giving the lost family members and going through the other life experiences while they experience work. This is leading to new more human policies and ways of working. Stages to design are the rather than a specific recipe or checklist, ex-pioneers went through the several stages based on the design thinking, build eccentric organizations. Typically, the multi-channel listening, the identify holistic journeys, listen the emotions, create persons, design experiences of the employees, test and the prototype and the create and launch the digital people strategies are there. So, when we are talking about the creating the employee experience, the centric organization, so here the emotional insights are there. So, historically gathered the the quantitative data on the employees and the customers, where the both the employee experience and the customers seeks to the understand the feeling or the emotions that employees and the customers experience in their journey. And these emotions give us the more insight into the behavior and the performance than typical, that is the quantitative engagement measures are there. So, key new capability is the effectively design the employees experience centric organizations, that is the people need to have an understanding on the ability to apply design thinking, cognitive analytics, advanced analytics, behavior science, specifically what intrinsic is motivated people are there. Here it is creating these employee experience centric organizations, the new organization structure, and that is depending upon that is whatever the coordination or customer experiences, classical old rich model that has been replaced, and ADO and even AB and MRO. HR itself has been replaced by the experience centric, and employees have been reshaped and responded around these employees experience activities. Simplification and the redesigning of the process and policy let people exercise the judgment and rapidly do their work in definitely in the radically redesigned performance management or learning, etc. is there. Now, here also the whenever we are talking about the employee experience pioneers follow the findings of the Jacob Morgan, who says that the employee experience is the physical virtual space and the culture and therefore it is extremely purpose driven, often very basic space, and little or no technology has been used into the creation. Now changes for the organization and the HR will be there, so that is the for the employee experience centric organizations, flatter, less hierarchical, employee experience pioneers and other in the journey to build these experience, reduce layers, and these attempted to the shorten to the distance between senior management and the customer. Then this CHRO role becomes the head of the experience, the head of these employee experience at the Adobe and other experience pioneers took over. This CHRO role is there, change of the organizations and HR. So it is the becoming the more and more HR aspects where they are creating the team and reporting with those other functions if they don't want to have. So for these insight for these employee experience implementation process, here it is role of the HR is becoming more and more, that is the strategy implementation, driving engagement, put the employee of the center in the design thinking, and the complex organizations are also too slow. So make it that is a simpler one is there. So sample of these employee experience pioneer business cases are the scaling the culture for the growth is there, and therefore in that case here the number of examples are there which talks about that is how assessing and they will fit into the new culture they approach to the life and work is there. Regain the market share and the competitive advantage. So Maxis was the largest, most successful telecom company in Malaysia, but was in the danger of losing their market position to disruptive startup with the leaner, better business models. They used employee experience centric as a primary way to accelerate the growth and build their way back to the competitive advantage. Integrating the two distinct culture is there because they are required to be the accessible and unbiasedness, and for this purpose this digital strategy that will be making them the transformation, helping in the transformations. Here we making this that is raise the productivity of these. For example, here we given the example of the GE's head of this experience centric spent his first 100 days visiting the other companies, example the Airbnb, Disney, Deloitte and the Brooklyn Navy yards, and saw that everyone in doing these particular employee experience centric organizations differently, what makes the sense for them is there. At GE they focused on designing the digital and physical space as well as the culture, putting the employees at the center of what the company does. So Paul has a small team and he leverages the teams from the digital technology and workplace solutions as well as the team of the scientists is there. Now the personalization at the scale is very important because ultimately it will depend on the individual. Whatever the strategies are created or evolved, how do they get through of the managers visibility into the insight and that will lead to them better team outcomes and align with the IBM's enterprise the people strategy. So here is the start with why, and we have to understand why did you join this WFP. ABN Amro's head of the experience-centric organization, Frank Den Brink says experience and the employee experience and the digital HR are key to success in their four must-win battles. Frank and his team have used the insight from the employee experience and the customer experience to draw away with the traditional HR and build a new operating model is there. And this particular transformation, and that looks like an eccentric organization, shift mindset, create the employee experience, design the people, places and implement, analyze and the listen the deeply is there. This is a case study of the Airbnb that you can refer for the scaling culture for the growth. You will understand that is how they have taken this the employee experience based centric organizations creation and then making it a success formula is there. Now in this particular case study you will also understand what advices they have for these what elements and what dimensions you are supposed to consider. This is the research paper, that is the employee centric perspective on the organization crisis, how organizational transparency and support help to mitigate employees uncertainty, negative emotions and the job disengagement is there. This paper will help you to understand in a better way how the experience centric organizations they are helping to the for the betterment or the growth of the organization. This is the book, the Experience-Centric Organizations, how to these win through the customer experiences there. You will discover how experience creativity can drive the whole organization. Learn the 5 steps necessary to transform into an experience-centric organizations and services. Develop essential as the creating the DNA for the organization. These are the references which you can refer for the further drilling to understand experience-centric employees, experience-centric organizations creation, and you will be able to find out how the customer-centric the experiences and the employee experience-centric organizations, they can club together for the success of these and the growth of these organizations. Thank you.